Welcome to Life So Far. I'm Rich Bryant and I sit down with everyday people from all different backgrounds to hear the wisdom and stories from their life so far. Thank you so much for stopping by and I really hope you enjoy this next conversation. Mercy, thanks so much for sitting down and chatting. It's an absolute pleasure to have you.
I'm very excited. Nice to be here.
Yeah, it's a long trek from the Wynnum Woods
It
commune.
is from the other side of the complex.
Yeah.
It took me at least 30 seconds to walk here.
I'm sorry about that one. Let's get straight into it.
Yeah.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
The best I feel like I've had a lot of advice, but one of the best ones was not necessarily given to me that I asked for, but just something that my dad said actually, which was to live with an unoffendable spirit or an unoffensible spirit.
Okay.
And I think what he meant by that, and I'll put my own spin on it, is that, it is so easy to take offense at everything and anything. Like that glance that person gave you or that thing that they said that you was like, that must be at me, most of the time is not. And I think to just move through the world with this, just this ability to not be offended by things or by other people will really take you a long way. And that was the best. It stays with me all the time. I think about it all the time. It's just to choose to see the best in other people, that they didn't mean that thing. It wasn't at you. It's most likely them in most cases. If someone says something, mean-spirited or what you perceive to be rude, it's most likely something they're going through. It's not about you. So, that's
great.
It's one of the best pieces of advice I've ever heard.
Yeah. And is it something that you, when those, of course things happen in life where, you have a disagreement with somebody or you do get that passing glance.
Yes.
Is it something that you've sort of taught yourself to kind of, it's almost like a check to go, hang on.
Yeah.
Is it something, or is it just more natural than that now where it's
I think it is a bit natural. Like I'm not someone who naturally does hold grudges, I don't think. And I probably, maybe I'm self-absorbed and I don't notice when other people are saying things. But yeah, I think it is becoming more natural where, I think for me it's choosing to not take things personally and to, just see the best in other people.
Yeah,
trust that they're coming from a good place, even if it doesn't sound like it.
Because you hear that about these stories of people that have held grudges for so long.
Yeah.
And then when they've actually confront that person most of the time is gone, I don't even remember doing that.
Yeah. I remember reading a book by one of my favorite authors, Shauna Niequist, and she talks about forgiveness being one of the hardest things because it's a constant choice. It's a constant – forgiveness is not one and done. Like you don't just do it and it's
you don't forget
over.
About it.
Yeah, you never feel bad towards that person again. It's constantly forgiving. Otherwise, you're just hurting yourself. Like it's more that whole thing about forgiveness is like poison. I don't know.
Yeah.
Am I making that up?
No. Yeah, it's something like that. I've heard that, isn't it? Yeah.
It's like, oh, that's right. Holding grudges like drinking poison, expecting the other person to die or something like that. So morbid.
Yeah, it is. It sounds like Shakespeare.
It does. But yeah, that's something that sticks with me.
Yeah, that's really cool. What has been your greatest struggle, do you think?
I think there's different ones in different areas. I would say I've had a very, I hate to use this word, blessed life. I've been so lucky in a lot of ways, and I really haven't had many terrible things happen to me. I think there's probably like a personal one and a professional one. Personally, as you know, Richard, one of my sisters passed away a few years ago, and so that's definitely been the biggest struggle that I've had. That whole, I never really understood grief before that, I don't think. And how that affected me, my family, my perspective from then on definitely was shifted by that. And then probably professionally is just like coming into my own. I think I'm a nurse, and so starting out I was really quite timid and shy and nervous about how I came across. I'm probably a bit of a people pleaser. So I was like, how are people going to perceive me? And just growing into my identity in that space and growing in assertiveness has never been something that's come naturally. It's something I've really had to work for, especially as I've become more senior in my workplace, really having to almost fight to be assertive, which I know for some people is probably not an issue at all, but for me really is. And that's, just coming into my own identity in both professionally, and that has spilled over personally as well. I think I'm more comfortable with who I am and speaking up for myself. But that
definitely.
would be my biggest struggle.
I would, as a friend and somebody who kind of observes, I've seen that in you. Like, it's not something that I've kind of many times have been like, oh, Mercy's so assertive now. But
every time I'm so rude to you.
I take a lot of offense to that. Like, as now that we talk about it, and now you go, oh, that does make sense. I have, from when I met you, probably, I don't know how long ago it was now, 10
long
years
time
ago.
Yeah, 10, 11 years.
And I think then you were maybe just starting to get into studying nursing.
I think I was just studying, not even working yet.
Yeah. I think you're working at Coorong or something.
I was back in the day.
Yeah. There has definitely been a shift, and even in our conversations, and it's not a bad assertiveness.
Yeah.
It's just, you have that social presence, I think. And you're someone who, simple things like, where we're going to go and get dinner. Like, so you're often kind of like, let's just go here.
Yeah.
That makes a big difference.
Yes.
And I know that is not like necessarily transferable to the hospital.
Oh, sometimes, you got to decide what's for lunch.
Yeah.
So
we all got to eat.
That's it.
But now that you say that, I have definitely seen that.
Yeah. And I think it's something that, I don't know if that is a sign, like just age, getting older, or whether that is because I've intentionally worked at it. Probably a bit of both. But it's kind of fun now realizing that I have not power, that sounds terrible, but especially I rule the world. Especially in my workplace, I often have to make tricky decisions and be responsible for a lot of other people, and so you have to really own that, and it's not something that you can really shy away from. I've come to realize.
And I think when you're in a leadership position as well, I think a lot of leaders have that kind of trajectory, don't they, where they get into a position and you kind of got to work your way up through that experience to get to the place where you can, with assertiveness and authority, and be comfortable in that authority as well as a leader,
and not abuse it either. I was so scared of being again, people not liking me if I was too bossy, or being seen as really domineering in that way. But I think just trying to find that balance between being friendly and approachable, but also carrying the responsibility that I do, and really trying to marry those two together. Sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. And I imagine, especially, this is just my knowledge of hospitals from watching like Grey's Anatomy. Classic. Yep.
But like, you do see that those positions, and they're all actors obviously, but where they can't make a decision. Yeah. And that's worse sometimes than just telling their staff, make that decision. Like, that annoys the staff.
Yeah. And so often, and being as someone who is, told what to do and has had leadership above me, you want someone to make calls. You need someone to, in those stressful situations, be the leader, and you don't want to, in the moment, you're not thinking, oh man, that person's being really bossy. You're like, please make a call because I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I think growing and knowing more about that and leading others, I'm like, oh, okay, it's fine to do this. I'm not offending anyone.
This is actually what they're after.
This is what is needed in this situation. I think that helps me be okay with it as well.
Very cool.
Yeah.
What's been the happiest moment of your life?
I feel like I've had lots of happy moments. Apart from getting married was obviously a very happy day, but I think your wedding day has so many other emotions as well. It's not maybe this is just me, it's not purely happy in terms of you're thinking about other, you think about the guests and you're thinking about, it's this massive change in your life. There's a lot of other things attached to it. So it was a super fun day and I would totally 100% do it again. But I think like the purely happy moments that I've had have often been associated with travel for me. So I remember one day it was my first ever solo trip overseas and I was in New York and it was my very first day there and I was by myself and I had a couple of days before I was meeting up with other people. And I just remember walking out of my hotel room and I was like, I can do anything that I want today. Like I'm in a foreign city, the city that has so much, attached to it. It has so many movies and memories for people. I was like, I can do whatever I want. Yeah. And I literally I had no agenda for the day. I just walked and went to Broadway, went to Times Square, and I went through Central Park and I went up the Empire State Building and it was just one of the best days.
That's so cool.
It was like independence and it was this new adventure and so I often have my happiest moments are probably travel ones. And then another time was with my husband the year before, 2019. We were overseas and we were on a cruise, which I was hesitant about to start with, but I came around to the idea of cruises. And we had this day trip in Corfu in Greece and we were on this catamaran. And I just remember having this really surreal moment of like, I'm literally lying on a boat in the middle of the Mediterranean. What is my life right now? And we like jumped off the boat into the Mediterranean Sea. Like it was just crazy.
Just a blissful day.
That's a perfect word. It was so blissful. And I'm very lucky to have been able to travel and hopefully will again. But those are some of my happiest moments. And then just occasionally I'll have moments where I'm just with my friends or I'm with my family and it's just very ordinary. We're either playing a game or doing something and just having this moment of like, these are the good old days while they're happening.
Just like contented.
Just content. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I often live in the future a lot. I struggle to live sometimes in the present. So like having those moments, I have to force myself to have those moments of like, what is happening right now is the memories that you'll have and you need to really latch onto them. Yeah, so it's a very long-winded answer to your very simple question.
No, it's great.
Yeah.
Awesome stuff.
Lots of
it's those contented moments. I think just what you said there, like it's you live in the future and you have to stay. That's something that I constantly have to remind myself.
Yeah.
Like even like this last Christmas day just gone.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there and the whole time I was like thinking about what we're going to do the next couple of days.
Yeah.
And there was this moment where I was like, dude, just forget it.
Just chill out.
You're at Christmas Day with your family. Like there's many, many people around the world who can't do this right now.
Yeah, true.
Just enjoy it. Like there's like little kids that are just screaming. That's like actually a blessing. You know? Like, there's a lot of people that don't have that and things like this. Yeah. And I think if we did that more, that would really enhance the way that we live.
Totally.
Not to say that looking into the future is a bad thing because that's kind of how you do things.
Yeah.
But being present, there's something that as I've chatted to a few people that's come up. Yeah. This idea of being more present.
And I don't know how you do that more intentionally. Like I don't know why it is such a struggle for, I don't know, maybe it's our generation or whatever, but why staying present and focused is so hard. I find it very hard.
Yeah. I'm useless at it.
Yeah.
I've been trying to like get into like mindfulness and meditation-y stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like 5 minutes. And they're like, when you notice that your thoughts have run away from you, gently bring them back. I'm like, that ship has long sailed.
That's right. I didn't even hear you say to bring them back.
I'm on YouTube.
I'm 5 years away.
Yeah, exactly. But they're like, that's normal. That's totally normal. Just bring them back.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. Anyway.
Right now.
Exactly. I'm living in the future. What legacy do you want to leave or how do you want to be remembered?
I think I want to be remembered as someone who helps lighten the load for other people. And I think what I mean by that is I really feel like I was meant to lighten the load. That's the only way I can put it. Like by not necessarily by, fixing other people's problems or by having all the right answers, but I think by bringing hopefully joy and lightness to people, I think is what I want to be remembered by, as someone who can help ease other people's burdens of life. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. Someone who kind of, if I go, man, I'm so glad that I had Mercy around in that time.
Yeah.
Having her was she brought so much joy to that situation.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what I'd like. Like, who can see I probably would have thought many years ago that the light side of life was the best side. And I still think that to some degree, the positive and the funny and all the laughter. But I think having gone through a lot since then, I feel like I almost believe that even more, but there is a gravity and a weight to it now that I never saw before, that laughing through hard times is actually one of the best things. And I don't mean that in a laughter is the best medicine kind of way, even though it kind of is. But I don't know what I'm trying to say. I think there's so much life in laughter through difficulty that I feel like needs to be brought out more. We are so consumed by worry, so many of us, so much anxiety, that I think the joy and the lighter side of life is not irresponsible and it's not immature. I think I feel the weight of it almost more now going, I think that's what the world needs more of.
Yeah, definitely. I think I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
I love to hear your thoughts actually. So as someone who's like not necessarily gone through really hard grief, like I've had like grandparents pass away and people like that, and it's super sad, there's grief, but it's not necessarily like that. It's very expected.
Yes.
Grief.
Yep.
I struggle when I know somebody who is in that really, they're really hurting to know what to say. And I can't remember who was saying it, but I think it was a comedian who was saying, I think his wife passed away very, very suddenly, and it was, just a horrific time. And he said, for like 2 weeks, everybody that came up to me just would like put their arm around me and just say, I'm so, so sorry for your loss. I'm so, so sorry. He says, my best mate came up to me like after 2 weeks. The first thing he said to me was some like horrifically out of place joke, like about his wife.
Yeah, right.
And he says everybody was like, how could he have said that?
Shocked.
And he said, it's the best thing that someone said to me.
Yeah.
And he's like, not because of the joke, like I don't even remember what it was, but in that moment I needed some laughter. Yeah. I needed something.
Yeah.
And he said he had the balls to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's something that stuck with me. And not that I'm like, oh, what's the worst joke that I could possibly say?
Yeah.
Because something horrendous would come out.
Yeah, yeah.
But going, maybe it is okay to kind of acknowledge that grief.
Yeah.
But then not move on, but I don't know what the words are, but.
I don't think you can stay in, for me anyway, and I know lots of people are different. I couldn't stay in that heavy, heavy grief place for too long at a time because it just was too much.
Yeah.
So you need people to provide some relief. And I think that's where it only comes in when you have good relationships with people. Like that guy, not some stranger would have been able to come up and tell that joke and he would have received it the same way. Yeah. You have to build, you have to have those relationships that can do that stuff and can go, this is what this person needs. But I think, grief is a funny thing, but, well, it's not, but it needs that. I needed some laughter in that time as well. And just someone to say something, there are a lot of people around when my sister passed away where, You could tell they were nervous about what to say, and I totally get it because I would have been before that as well. I'm sure I offended a lot of people before that because I probably said the wrong thing. But I don't think there is really a wrong thing to say, because it's better to say something than nothing. I think the people I remember are the ones who at least said something, or at least you knew that they would if they could. Does that make sense? I knew people just didn't want to say the wrong thing. But just being there and journeying through that time, and life does go on and people's lives move on, but I think you need people to just every now and then mention it again, because you haven't forgotten. And yes, life does move on, but it's always there now. So I think the thing that has stayed with me as well is people who even still will be like, how's that going? And I think that's good. Yeah, it helps. Yeah,
definitely. Oh, that's so good to know. Awesome. Thanks so much for sharing that as well.
No worries.
It's really good. Last question. What piece of advice would you give to those watching or listening?
I think, again, going back to Shauna Nyquist, one of my favorite authors, she has this quote in her very first book that when I first read it, I was like, yes, she just gets it.
Do you know what the title of the book is?
It is called Cold Tangerines.
Cold Tangerines.
Which is the weirdest title.
Not what I was expecting.
Not what I was either, but it's a fantastic book.
They sound delicious.
Yeah. But she has this quote where it's, I want my everyday to make God belly laugh. No, grateful he gave the gift of life to someone who enjoys it. I botched that a little bit, but that's basically the gist.
Can you say it again? Sorry.
I want my everyday life to make God belly laugh. Grateful he gave life to someone who enjoys the gift. So I think what I take away from that is just to wring the most out of every day that you can. And I'm preaching to myself here because sometimes I'm not very good at it. But it really is so crucial. Like, we have one life, and I know that's a real cliche, but
it's still true though.
Still true.
Yeah.
Most cliches are. I don't want to look back on my years and go, man, I was so worried about that one thing, or what that person thought of me that I didn't pursue this thing I really wanted to do because I thought, they would think it was stupid or something. I think just do the thing. Do the thing that you want to do. Live every day, because we don't know when it's going to be our last, and that's, again, really morbid, but it's a reality. And just, I don't know, live life.
I think it's something that is cliche, but it is something that we literally need to like all have it tattooed on our hand.
Totally.
Because how often do you see people, and it's hard to judge because what living life is different for so many people.
Yeah, that's very true.
I look at so many people and I'm like, you are wasting your life.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You could be over tomorrow.
Yeah.
And even if it's not over tomorrow, do you want to look back and go, what the heck did I spend 10 years of my life just doing nothing for, or something, Especially when you start to understand how much we've all hit the lottery.
Totally.
Like, of just being alive, one.
Yeah.
But then if we are listening in a country that has a lot of privilege around us, regardless of really what class we're in, we've hit the lottery.
Absolutely.
We need to make the most of it and not squander it. So I think that is great.
And I think that's I do know that we have a lot of privilege, and we live a very blessed life. But you would know too, having been to third world countries, that they're some of them are the happiest people, and they have nothing.
Yeah, true.
And it's so much about perspective. And I just go, man, we could learn a lot from just looking at the people around us. And I just think squeeze the most out of every day, because it is a gift. And we're not entitled to it. We have it as a gift, and it's beautiful.
Definitely. I think that's a really good place to finish off. So, Mercy, thanks so much. This has been awesome.
Thank you for having me. It's been fun.
It's been really good. Some of the stuff you've shared has been really great. Not all of what you've shared has been great.
Just some little
There's been a
bits.
few questionable things there.
I'll edit some of this out.
Yeah. There won't be any editing going on. Definitely not for this one. So thanks so much. And before I forget, if people want to, get to know you more or follow your journey, where's the best place? So do you have social media?
I do have social media. I am on Instagram. Sometimes on Facebook, even though I'm more of a lurker on Facebook than an active person anymore. And if you want to listen to a podcast,
true. I
have a
totally
podcast.
didn't even mention it.
No, you don't
terrible
have to. With my sister, called The Book Place, and we just talk a lot about books and reading because it's a hobby of ours.
Yeah, it's really good actually. For everyone listening, go and check it out.
Yeah.
And what's your Instagram handle?
Oh, Moopy92.
Moopy92. And I'll put all that in the link
Great.
in the description so people can actually figure out what that is.
Yes.
But,
It was a nickname. It's fine.
Yeah. Sounds great. Well,
Cool.
Mers, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Everybody listening, we'll see you in the next one. Thanks,
Great.
guys.
Thanks.
I really hope you enjoyed that last conversation. If you're watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify, it would mean the absolute world if you like and subscribed or left a positive comment. I know you've heard this all before, but these things really do help the channel grow. Thank you so much for your support, and I'll see you in the next episode.